Hello and welcome to From the Backseat. I am your host, Ethan Haas, and I am joined today by my co-host.
What up, guys? It's Clark again. If you noticed, I shaved in America's worst mustache in the hopes it would help the Padres win today, and guess what? They lost again, so it didn't matter. But I'm still here for you as always. Don't worry.
So we have a very special guest today. We have at Sweet Annie OD on TikTok. Her name's just Annie, but we are so happy to have her on. Thank you for coming on, Annie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know, we're stoked to have you.
Of course. But before we get into it, Annie, you'll probably get a kick out of this. I just got to poke Clark a little bit. Clark, how are you feeling about that? You feel like the Padres aren't making the playoffs anymore?
Yeah, I actually will go on officially on record on it at this point. I think I said it yesterday. I'll keep this very short. I think the Padres, with Eric Hosmer as their supposed leader, lack any sort of backbone. This team is so soft. I think it shrivels in the first phase of adversity. I will go on record again today saying I think they will miss the playoffs. They have fooled me again. Congratulations, Padres. You have absolutely shattered me once again. I hope you're happy. But I'll be back next year, and I'll still continue to watch this year. So don't worry. You have my money, Peter Seidler.
So that's a great segue. And I just had to ask Clark about this because the Padres lost again. And in our group chat, I got Clark texting me, season's over. We're done. We're missing the playoffs. So Annie, how does it feel to be stranded by a bunch of Padres fans in San Diego as a Dodger fan?
It's nothing I'm not used to, especially growing up, being a Dodgers fan amidst, Tony Gwynn and Trevor Hoffman, which honestly, I'm a baseball fan first and foremost, so I have the utmost respect for, the game's best, but definitely was a head scratcher. In elementary school, had to fight a lot of chirping at a young age, but and a lot of wire. I'm kind of all over the place with all my sports, so that's something I'm not used. I'm used to at this point, but and I I mean this with the most respect, I promise. But listen, like it feels like, which I'm all for Southern California baseball being as competitive as possible. I think rivalries make things more fun. So the Padres really not being in the postseason since, 2006 was the last time.
Well, if you count the 2020 season.
Well, we do count the 2020 season.
Yes,
It's
I know
a legit season.
there.
We're going to get into that debate already. But no, really, the fact that the Padres have really built up this insane farm system, gotten out and gotten these big names, big free agents. You obviously notching Manny Machado to that huge contract. You got one of the most exciting players in baseball, Fernando Tatis Jr., is unfortunately hasn't seen the field this year, but it's made things more exciting, and I feel like it's really bringing to light how much Padres fans hate the Dodgers. I've always known that there's that division rivalry there, but for the Dodgers fans, it's always going to be the Giants that are the main rival, and that's just history. That's going back to New York. That's as deep as it gets. A lot of Dodgers fans like to say that the Padres will never be a rival, and I disagree with that. Especially in 2020, I thought it was so fun. Just, obviously having the playoff series, the back and forth there. And, that's one of my favorite things about sports is, the chirp and the rivalries, that the splitting series sometimes. It adds to it. So I'm not like the usual Dodgers fans that are so looked down upon the Padres. I mean, granted, if Padres fans step out of line, sometimes you got to remind them where they stand a few times here and there. But other than that, listen, I think it's all good. Obviously, a beautiful ballpark in Petco Park. It's so fun to go down there. And I do love those City Connect jerseys, I gotta say. I think.
Do you actually? Do you really do? Or is that a joke? Okay, good.
I'm
glad.
I'm all for I collect 90s vintage sports stuff. So I'm all for the big loud colors. I'm all for sports teams getting crazy with their colors. Whereas the Dodgers ones last year were so boring. They looked nice with the blue, but they could have done, there was so much more that could be done. I was expecting something like the White Sox had, which love the South Side. Those are clean. But I don't know. I feel like when you have, an illustrious kind of a franchise that has such a clean, you got the Dodger white and blue, you got the New York Yankees pinstripes, that people really aren't willing to experiment and get creative enough, because there's so many purist sports fans that are like, no, don't fix what's not broken, like don't mess with this. But the Padres, you have that luxury to kind of have some fun with it.
Freelance
So
with what
I
we wanna
really
do.
do love those.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let me ask you this too, just because I know obviously I've seen some of the content with the vintage jerseys and stuff. Of all of them that you have or own, is there one that really stands out that you enjoy? That I'm like, I love this one. That this needs to be worn as almost the main jersey at all times.
Ooh, that's a good one. Which sport?
Let's go. We'll go with hockey.
Okay.
Since you're a hockey gal.
Okay. I'll exclude the Mighty Duck.
Okay.
I'll exclude the Mighty Ducks logo because that's an obvious one. The Buffalo Sabres have this goat head. Because currently their colors are blue and yellow and white. They in the 90s they were black, red, white, and silver. And they had actually I have it right here. Let me grab it.
Oh, just handy for.
Oh wow.
We have a rack of jerseys right here.
No, that is a great
different.
one.
I love that logo, and it's so slept on. Like I think it's beautiful. So they should bring that back. I have probably like 7 pieces with that logo on it, but
as you should.
Yeah. Well, the 90s, I just feel like a lot of NHL teams specifically just got so creative with their jerseys. You had the Ducks, you had the Sharks that had the the pop of teal in there. It was that point of time where obviously every kid had the Charlotte Hornets like starter jacket, the quarter zip type thing.
Yeah.
Like it was so in tune with fashion back then where that's why I don't know, it's an era that I particularly like.
Let me ask you, do you have the Islanders like fisherman one where it's like the fisherman dude on the boat?
I don't have the jersey. I've got hat, I've got I think a shirt with it, but no, a jersey you're gonna be paying like $1,000 for one of those things.
Yeah, those are actually.
Oh, really? Yeah, there's one currently sitting in my closet.
Really?
My uncle is from Long Island, and he's an absolute huge Islanders fan, and he has one of those jerseys. And I went to a Ducks Islanders game like back in February, and he gave it to me. I've worn it a couple times now, and I actually went home with it. So it's currently sitting in my closet.
He hasn't asked for it back yet?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, no, he just said to take care of it. I didn't realize it was worth a lot of money. Now I feel like
how much money that thing's worth these days.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
If it's like a starter one, like a CCM or starter jersey, those can range for like upwards near $1,000. Not even kidding.
I will ask it. Crazy. Don't let it go. That or if you're
how many?
Go ahead and sell it.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's his. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying it's funny because like back in the 90s, that logo was so hated on and people thought it was the ugliest thing, and it's just aged so well. It's like the Star Wars prequels. Like it's just like as people get older, like they just start to appreciate it. And they're like, as much shit as we gave this, it's actually pretty cool. So
yeah, I feel like that goes for just about almost every. It's like almost a sense of like everything that's old is new again. Like everything that was hated upon once just like earns its garnership over the years, and everyone wants it back. So
right.
So let me ask you, how many jerseys do you think you have?
Oh God. Let me see. I'm not gonna count them.
Oh my gosh.
If you just had to get, I mean, the fact that you have to give it this much thought, I can tell you, I own like 5.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. A big part of it is, just being from a huge sports family, like you just collect them over the years, and it's something that's always in the house, and you inherit a lot of them. But so not all of these I've spent my own money on. Okay. I wouldn't be shocked if it's like close to 50.
Wow.
Damn.
And they're not all different. Like I would say a good chunk are Dodgers ones, just because like growing up, like
you gotta get a new one every year.
Had to get a new one. Had to. Like literally, Nomar Garciaparra signed with the Dodgers back in 2005, and the first thing I asked, I was like, I want a Nomar jersey, and that I have it. I still have it. Still.
That's fun. That's cool. So let's move a little bit on to now your TikTok journey into how you got into your content. So obviously we see the Jersey Haul videos all the time. You are always talking about getting retro jerseys. So how did you start on TikTok?
How did I start on TikTok? I'm thinking back to 2019 specifically, where I started my podcast, my sports podcast for the first time. And it was
plug it.
OD on sports on any kind of streaming platform. I'll take the free plug, why not? And then of course, things are going really great. And I'm like, I've got plans. 2020 is going to be the year that I grow this, that I launch all these checklists. And of course, the inevitable COVID hits in March. And I was like, well, we got to rethink here because no sports going on. So what the hell am I going to talk about? When, of course, luckily there was a lot to talk about. Like with the NFL draft, there was, MLB, the strike happening between, Manfred and the players. So there was actually a lot going on, even if there were no games. But obviously being bored, stuck inside, I was living in New York City at the time. I started messing around on TikTok, was scrolling. And at first it was kind of like just fun, weird, like videos with me and my roommate. But I said, well, what if I started posting sports ones? Like, let's just see what happens. So I was just like, I would do it. They wouldn't really do well. I was like, these are great. What the hell? People have no taste. And then literally like, it's funny enough, the first video that really took off was the Dodgers Astros, Joe Kelly and Carlos Correa situation. So there was this trending sound, and I had actually just gotten home in time to watch that interaction. So I didn't watch the rest of the game. I had a family thing or something. I can't remember. And I was like, there was a trending sound on TikTok at the time. And I just thought, oh, that works. So I literally whipped it together in maybe 3 minutes, put it out into the universe, and it blew up. Like it's got like 275,000 views there. Of course, majority of them like saying that Carlos Correa would beat up Joe Kelly. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Mr. Guy who broke his rib while getting a massage. Yeah, let's.
Hey, he's a tough. Hey, massages are tough sometimes. Massages are tough.
Hey, ask Deshaun Watson about massages.
No.
Oh, good God. Do we even know if he's going to play this year yet?
I hope he doesn't.
We hope
never see the field again.
I hope he doesn't
he's awful.
How the Browns would be. I mean, you already traded away Baker Mayfield. If this guy gets suspended for the year, who's your backup?
It's okay. They have Jacoby Brissett, and
Yeah,
it would be.
That's right.
They have.
They got to figure it out.
But so from there I was like, okay, I think we're onto something here. And I just started just making all sorts of content, and mostly around baseball. I noticed baseball was the one that was really catching speed, because at the time it was, hockey wasn't really going on, but it was the return to play. So I would occasionally like throw out some hockey content, but it was baseball that was really taking off, and really built up a good following during that 2020 postseason in Texas, in the bubble in Texas. Just constantly, I had nothing else to do, so I was collecting unemployment and making content, which
way to do
what
it.
A life. It's hard to believe that was my life 2 years ago. While being stuck in a small, basically a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City, sharing it with another person. But and it's fun to kind of see like how content evolves, like some of the things, like obviously you want to do like some of the trending stuff, but then my favorite things to do are my own content, and like where I'm actually speaking and like engaging in the conversation, providing analysis, because that's really what gets me going. But I also love like the fun side of it. Like I love thinking of movie scenes that relate to situations in sports, which is perfect for TikTok. So that's really how I've got, that's been my TikTok journey for the most part. And it's still an ongoing journey, kind of figuring out what content I want to do, what content I don't want to do. I feel like that's life as, content creators, as, people in the sports media space like you guys, or you just kind of, it's a figuring it out as you go kind of thing. You're like, all right, I like this aspect, I don't like this, like what fits now, what I want to do. So yeah, that's pretty much, that's been it so far. It's been a wild ride.
So now, when you went into bowl, no, go ahead, Ethan. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, hey, my next question is really, what's a video? Because Clark and I have had plenty of these where we post something. Mind you, we haven't been at this very long. It's been like a month and a half for us, but we post something. We post something that we think is gonna hit. We think is such a good video, and then it just crashes and burns.
Yeah.
What's your video that like you feel like that should have been my smash hit, that like would have advertised me, but that just flopped?
That's a good question. I've got a few of them. I'd have to look through, but I think there's a few baseball ones I thought would do really well that absolutely crashed. A few, I mean, I'm a Ducks fan, so when I make like Ducks content that I think is really good, like they're just they're not amongst the most popular teams. They're also still a rebuilding team, so they're not, in the media conversation as much as far as, competitiveness, because of course. So that's, those ones are the ones where I'm like, like great content, it fits the team perfectly, but just not the right team. If it was the Toronto Maple Leafs, if it was the Chicago Blackhawks, it would
just be taken off
skyrocket, but it's not. And kind of is what it is. But that happens all the time. So you think something's gonna do, you're like, oh, like it's even worse when you put so much effort into it and thought, and you're like, okay, green screen, okay, this, that, like editing, everything, and then it's just like 2,000 views. You're like, okay, that's
great.
And that's why, like, and I know we were talking about it before we started. It's just, that's the thing with TikTok, is you can't get too wrapped up with, views and things like that. I know it's important, but sometimes like it's just important to like put content out there that you like and you want to see, because the right people are going to find, it's going to end up on the right people's For You page. Like you never know who it's going to come across. Like I posted a video, and I guess this is one, but it ended up something good. So I made a video. I don't know if you remember last season when this, I don't claim them, but this Dodgers fan group, Pantone 294. I don't know if you've ever seen them on like Twitter or anything. They're this traveling Dodgers fan group. I'm not a fan.
There's a couple out there. I can't recognize the name though, but
this is the big one. They're like kind of culty a little bit.
Okay, interesting. So always good.
They paid for this billboard outside Fenway Park that said, hey, dear Boston and Red Sox fans, thank you for Mookie Betts. Sincerely, Dodger fans and 294. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah,
really? And I just thought it was so stupid. Like I said, you wasted your money on that. Really?
No, that's a huge waste. A huge waste.
The Dodgers just won the World Series, and Mookie signs that monstrous extension, and you're thinking about Red Sox fans. Like, really? A World Series that literally the Dodgers had no chance in the second they got in against that Boston team. So I don't know why there's any pettiness there, but I made this video about it. It only got like 3,000 views. A lot of hate from Dodgers fans, of course, being like, you don't speak for me. I'm like, all right. Easy.
All right, settle down.
Literally. All right. But it actually ended up on the For You page of this person locally here. And he reached out to me and said, hey, loved your video. I'm actually looking for a radio co-host. Would you be interested in coming up? And I was like, hey, why not? So I did sports radio in Newport Beach for a year after that. So it just
awesome.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's a fun. I think the best part of that story is that it's literally a video that didn't do that well. Like
didn't do that well, but the right person saw it. That's all that matters.
Exactly. You never know who's going to see your content, which is also kind of terrifying, because there's times where I literally like make a fool of myself, like reenact Endgame or reenact, a scene from The Dark Knight. And I was like, if this ends up on somebody's For You page that I know, like, you got to let go of that.
Exactly.
When you're in the space you are, like, I don't care what people think about me, but it's one thing to be like, if you knew me and you saw me doing that, you were like, all right, Annie.
Yeah. No, it's like that. You have to like remove any sort of like, secondhand embarrassment of someone knowing and just totally tossing it out. Can't have that.
Exactly. At this point, listen, I feel like that just kind of holds you back too, especially in sports where you're putting out hot takes and you're like speaking your mind on things all the time. And you got to let go of the fear of like people giving you shit. You got to let go of people not agreeing with you, because it's going to happen. Somebody's going to disagree with you. Somebody's going to say you don't know ball. Somebody's going to say, your takes are trash. Like you just got to, you're like, hey, I know, my argument has base. I know, I've watched this game for so long. I know I have something to say. Like there's going to be people that disagree with you. And I
think it's great. I mean, we've tried to, I think, at least I have to speak for myself. I'm sure Ethan's done the same thing. I think from most of the stuff that we've had, at least 50% of people are like, you are an idiot. You have no clue what you're talking about.
People hate Clark and I.
No, I mean, I get it. I do. I mean, obviously there's some cadence to it, when I'm like, for like the Albert Pujols thing that Cardinals fans are like, oh, you're an idiot. Why wouldn't you want to see him in the home run derby? And there's the other half where it's like, oh, that's fine. I get it. So, it's just some kind of risk going into it.
And it's so funny because people get like so triggered over the littlest
Oh,
things. Like
it's not a big deal. Exactly.
it's the All-Star game. It's the home run derby.
Yeah, it's
like
a home run
doesn't-
derby. Is it
it's a-
really going to affect the life? Probably
No,
not.
it's
Just
not.
let it go.
Like, I'm sure Albert Pujols would prefer like the weekend off. Honestly,
Yeah,
Or, like,
seriously.
he would.
You think at age
I have-
42 he wants to be out there taking like a 3 minutes worth of hacks? No, he
Yeah,
probably
no.
wish he was sitting on a beach somewhere if he could.
Yeah,
for a
with
week
his
before
kids or something. Exactly.
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 So
That's
I'm
why
sure
I
he's not losing sweat over what I have to say. So you probably shouldn't either. So
Literally.
Cardinals
I'm like,
fans
yo.
hate us, Clark, though.
well, it's my fault. It's my fault, but I don't really care that much. So
In the Albert Pujols, man, Cardinals fans hate us.
well, someone has to say it. Someone has to say it. Someone has to be the idiot of
Well-
the group. It's okay.
And I'm the idiot right now with my we should shorten the season take just a little
Yes,
bit
you
ago.
are. But someone else to call
Um,
a caller every once in a while.
It's okay. We switch. Annie, we have a fan asked question over in our YouTube live. So this is friends of the show, Drew Code Sports Talk, and so they're asking you what is the goal you're pushing for with your large following?
What's the end game? That's a good question. I feel like that's been the fun part about this is kind of figuring out what exactly I want to do. And I think end game would I can't talk. End game for me, I want to be an analyst. I want to contribute to the conversation. I don't want to be like a host. I feel like that's kind of the token place you put a female when you have a lot of talk shows. You got the Molly, you got what's her name on
Joy Taylor with Colin Coward.
Joy Taylor. I forget. It was Joy. I was thinking of the girl before Joy Taylor.
Who's the one on Good Morning Football? Which
Kay
one is
Adams
she?
moved on. I don't know if Kay Adams is.
Oh.
but
Maybe. But
I think she left.
you got Sam Ponder on Sunday
College
NFL
football.
Countdown. You got the Maria Taylor did a little bit more, I would say.
Yeah,
She
a little
kind
bit
of
more. Certainly.
leveled into more of an analytical role when she was talking basketball. But I really want to be like at the table, at the conversation. But I enjoy creating fun content too. So I would love to find something that is a great balance of both, where my opinions respected and I put myself out there, put all my opinions, ideas, but also, sports are fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the fun sports content. It's the memes. It's the, the edited stuff that, some of these outlets or even just fans do that makes it fun and engaging on the internet. So some kind of balance of that would be end game for me. I don't really see that being an ESPN. I don't really see that being, a major network, but I'm kind of open to where the internet evolved, where things evolve to, I guess, in the coming years. So.
Let me ask you this really quick, just, out of curiosity. Say someone from the Anaheim Ducks or someone from the LA Dodgers came up and they said, "Hey, Annie, we really want you to be an analyst for us on like our post game. Which one would you rather do of those two if you had to choose one?"
Ooh, that would be tough. I do have a Dodgers tattoo, so I feel like I should probably say
there it
that,
is, maybe.
But, I feel like the Ducks I would take just
Ducks?
because I'm very passionate about the growth of hockey in Southern California.
Nice.
I love this sport. I love the game. I think this team is going to be very exciting in the coming years. They've got a lot of great young talent in that team, specifically Trevor Zegras, who's going to be an absolute superstar. And I want to be a part. I want to be a part of that. I want to come help bring people back into Honda Center and make it as electric as it was, not too long ago. So I think that would be the route I would take.
That would be the route. All right. I like it. And then just
one
other quick question. I was talking about this today and I haven't thought about it. What do you think about Johnny Gaudreau leaving Calgary?
Johnny Gaudreau leaving Calgary. See, that's the tough thing for free agents is, they have their choice of where they want to go. And Johnny Gaudreau, he scored 40 goals last year, 115 points. He's a playmaker. Like, elite guys like that do not hit the free market often.
Very often, no, they don't.
If a team has, the cap flexibility to do that, they should absolutely go after him. I am shocked he went to Columbus.
I was going to ask that. Were you shocked that it was
shocked there?
Yeah.
I think there's other teams that, kind of in the Northeast where he's from South Jersey and the Flyers would not. Everyone was like, oh, he's going to go to Philadelphia. He's not going to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
For one, no cap room. They have some awful contracts in there. And two, their team is god awful. There's no future there. So if you're going to win a Stanley Cup, you're not going to go to the Philadelphia Flyers unless you really are passionate about being a Flyer, which honestly, with that fan base, I don't know who would.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Philly just in general will be a tough one, especially Flyers too. Yeah. It's just like
Philly's a tough place to play. I think, specifically football. I feel like
yeah.
Maybe less so. Maybe you'd have to ask one of the Philadelphia Phillies, I'm sure. But I feel like, you could also ask Ben Simmons too. He didn't really get a fair. I
didn't click there too much.
But the Devils were an option there. The Devils apparently threw the kitchen sink at him and are offering north of $10 million a year for 8 years. They've got a lot of great young talent there. Mm-hmm. Are they a playoff team? Not yet, but well on their way. The Islanders, a team not far from South Philly, also another great team. It's peculiar. It's definitely an interesting move to go to Columbus, but I think, obviously environment is important. He's also married. I think his wife still works as a children's hospital nurse, and Columbus is a great hospital, a children's hospital, one of the best, I believe, in the country, if I'm not mistaken. So probably having that in mind, it was family. I watched his press conference today, and he was very he made it seem like a family decision, that it was him and his wife together. So, but other than that, he really didn't disclose much. But it's hard playing in, for one, the Canadian taxes.
Yeah.
You're from the United States, but a Canadian market is so hard for a player. It is that's life to them. That's football. For football in the United States is hockey in Canada. It's junior hockey is high school football for them. It's just all eyes are on you. You cannot escape. You're the LeBron James. You're NFL quarterbacks of those cities, especially at Calgary. So I don't blame him at all for wanting to move on. There's times in everybody's life, you need to change a scenery, but it's absolutely shocking and a hell of a blow to the Calgary Flames. It just, where do you go from here? That's the thing, is you were planning to offer this guy the world, and you got to say, well, now what? You were expected up until 2 days ago that he was going to re-sign with you. You've got some restricted free agents. You've got a lot of decisions to be made, and you're like, okay, well,
all right. They just ripped that Band-Aid off right there with their best player heading out, pretty much. So it's like you got to try to pivot, see what you can do. So I feel like it's always a tough thing. Yeah.
That's what GMs are paid the big money to do, though. So we will see what they do. But it's hard. You make it to the second round of the playoffs, and I don't know who they bring in to try and replicate that success. But
no, that's one of those things when you have a star player of that caliber, it's not something you can just replicate with one player. It's probably trying to patchwork it with a couple guys around it. So
totally. The guy, listen, he did what he had as far as contract year. Scoring 40 goals in the National Hockey League is
it was a great year.
He did what he had to do to go out and get his money, which I believe he took less money even to go to Columbus as opposed to what Calgary and the Devils were offering him. So it's
so then maybe I think it could be spot on then with the whole family decision. If his wife's a nurse and they really want to go to one of the best children's hospitals, it probably could have been a great family decision for him then. So probably,
and at the end of the day, that's his decision. He's entitled to it. So obviously, wish him all the best. He's a good American-born player. We love seeing our USA hockey boys thrive. But that Columbus team could be interesting to watch. I don't think they're a playoff team, even with Johnny Gaudreau, but we'll see what happens. You never know. Never know.
Okay, Annie, so I want to steer the conversation a little bit back to TikTok because this is my favorite question to ask people.
Oh, gosh.
What is your favorite hate comment you've ever gotten? What's one comment that you look at and you don't even know how to respond because it's just so funny?
My favorite, honestly, this is a genre of them. So I get told constantly that I look like different men. Literally.
Really?
Who?
I've gotten Phil Bickford, which is funny. It's the hair. I used to have a lot blonder hair last year. So people are like, is this Phil Bickford? And I'm
gosh.
Jeez.
I got Max Muncy back in 2020.
Come on.
Oh, that's brutal.
No,
that's absurd.
Which I make fun of it. I do I reply to the comment and then I go in front of the screen and I'm like, yeah, No.
Yeah.
I've gotten Dave Mustaine. I've gotten what did I get recently? Shoot.
Man,
I got
Max
Clay
Muncy, that's
Matthews. I got
You
Clay
got Clay
Matthews
Matthews because
last year.
I'm guessing because of the long hair,
Long
kind of,
hair.
Long hair,
obviously.
yeah. It's any long blonde-haired person, any long blonde-haired male athlete, I've gotten it. So
Damn, dude.
anytime, and it's always like,
Crazy.
and it's funny because I'm a big classic rock fan. So when someone said you look like a young Dave Mustaine, I'm like, yo, you probably meant this to insult me, but this is kind of a
That's-
compliment.
Appreciate that.
I'll
Yeah.
take it. Which honestly, that's the best way to reply to those things. Like they
Mhm.
say that to, obviously try to get under your skin, but at the end of the day, you're like, yo,
Roll with the punches.
Yeah.
roll with the punches. For one, I look nothing like any of these guys, but
Well, exactly.
you see the hair
Yeah.
and I'll take it. But those ones are always entertaining. I get a
brutal.
good kick out of those.
So then my next question for you is, obviously Clark and I are males and we are putting out absurd, well, not to us it's absurd, but to the general public it seems absurd and is received not the best always. So what is it like for you putting out sports content into a sea of male 14-year-old boys?
I've been meaning to ask too, because I know Dodger TikTok shows up big, so I don't even want to know the kind of comments you got on that video.
Just give it a scroll, man. People are mad.
Well, I'll tell you before you get into I'll tell you one of the weirdest ones we got. There was some dude who was, he commented on there when we the 0 comment or whatever, blocked the number. He was like, "Oh, post your girlfriends on here or else I don't believe you're talking to women." And I was like, "I'm not going to post a photo or a video of my girlfriend on here, sir. So let's stay away from that."
You're like, no,
I don't think it's going to happen. You creep.
The favorite
for you, sir, with no profile picture. You were, 625 a bunch of digits. No.
Yeah, I think we're just not going to do that. But I appreciate the question though. So
it's also like take a joke. Like it ain't that deep.
Yeah.
Well, the funniest part about that thread is so he's like, "Oh, post your girlfriends or whatever," which my fiance has been on the show before. Like it would not be that hard to find her. And second of all, the top comment was Clark's girlfriend saying that she was a Dodgers fan. And then I replied with my personal account to it. So like people could have easily figured it out. Yeah. But they just put in so little effort to where it's just like, and this person commented probably already when it had like 3,000 comments. So they had to like look through our entire thing to like post their comment.
Good times.
It's funny. Like there's times where, TikTok will do its thing and like totally cancel like somebody or like a small business. But then there's times where like it's really, if they wanted to find something they could and they just don't.
And they're just like, not going to do it today.
Exactly. You're like, you got to decide what's worth the effort, what's not. But I forget. The answer. What was the original question? Like content, comments or?
Oh, it was. What was your favorite comment? Oh, wait, we already asked that. What was
you already asked that one?
Yeah, we already asked that one.
What was that? Oh, it was, what's it like being a woman in like the sea of all of these male sports fans?
It's not to say it's humbling, but it feels like there's like 14-year-old guys and then there's like middle-aged like 40, 50-year-olds. Like that's the mix of comments that you get. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest kind of indication of that, and this is just, I feel like being a woman in sports, is I put out a ranking, I put out a take, mm-hmm. and they disagree with it. It's like women don't know sports. It's, you get crucified for it. A guy puts out a similar take and doesn't get nearly as much hate, which that kind of, does it surprise me? No. Is it okay? Also no. Mm-hmm. You gotta, for me, like I grew up with 4 brothers, so I'm very used to being chirped. I got thick skin nonetheless, which you have to have to put out content on TikTok. Like if you can't take a joke, you can't take a couple jabs or, somebody coming after you, like it's probably not the app for you. I think social media in general isn't for you, but especially working in sports, because if people don't agree with you, they will attack your appearance. They'll attack, they'll nitpick things to attack about you. So it's, you never really know what you're going to get, especially with like guesses and like when I make predictions and things like that, which I mean, at the end of the day, we're not psychics. We can't tell the
No,
future.
exactly.
No, not at all.
Like, that's why when you're making like season, preview predictions, like how people are going to fight, what's the order, what are the standings going to be, come playoff time, playoff brackets and, award winners and things like that. Some people seem to forget, like, hey, none of us are mind readers.
None of us actually have any clue. Yeah.
You can look at all the numbers, analytics, which I do. I think that's one of the most fun parts about it. You can kind of like put the numbers side by side and kind of figure out, be like, okay, like I like the way this roster's built. But at the end of the day, like there's injuries that come into factor. There's, God, there's COVID now. There's so many things come into play, or somebody just has a down year. It happens, and you can't predict that. So that's like fantasy football too, where you can draft the most perfect team, and then of course week 2, I had Saquon Barkley on my team in 2019, week 2. So that was great, and it's always my luck too, every time. But that's why it's easy. No, it's easy to let when people kind of try and come and attack you and things like that, but the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to put this out in the universe, and hey, one way you can look at hate comments too, it's like, hey, it's helping the algorithm. It's pushing it out to more people. The more times people share it and comment, the more people, more people are going to see it. It's pushed out too. So I don't know. You gotta, it's obviously there's sometimes some that cross the line, of course, and I'm very good about that, where anything misogynist, anything, racist, homophobic, which unfortunately, especially in the sports space, we still see. I'm really good about, I don't tolerate any of that. No. But, it's kind of at that, when you're putting something out on TikTok, you kind of have to say, well, whatever is going to come is going to come.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think it's definitely just ending for. I always feel like I would have thought with so much time going on. I mean, I know some of those things you talked about, especially just misogyny, homophobic, and just racism would have gone away from most of this by now in any sense, but for some reason it continues to persist, and it always just is like mind-boggling to me. I don't understand that. So but
you also get of course, there's so many times where like men will try and come into the comments and like mansplain to me like what the job of a general manager is and how trades work. I'm like, listen, you're not going to do this here.
Yeah.
But, or like they'll go on like rants, like things I didn't ask about, like explaining why I'm wrong. I'm like, all right, like you go on your little soapbox, you have your moment there. That's fine. But, people, I don't know, I've said this already, but like the people get triggered by the littlest things, and if they got a moment where they disagree with you or they think they know more than you about something, they're gonna make their opinion known, which is fine. Like for me, I just keep scrolling. I'm like,
cool, thanks for that.
I don't have the time to stop and calm unless it's something positive, unless it's like something engaging. I really don't.
Totally.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So let's move into your Dodger fandom a little bit.
All right.
So we talked about hockey. So let's dive into baseball, because we got All-Star Weekend coming up. So Clark actually just put out a take. This was from our last show, where he said Trey Turner shouldn't be the starting shortstop. How do you feel about that as a Dodger fan? He thinks Dansby Swanson should have been the starter.
I think Dansby should be.
Dansby's having the better year, is he not?
Dansby is. See, look, that was the thing. I let me preface it with this. I think they're both definitely all-stars, no question. Great players.
Yeah.
I just looked at it overall from an FWAR, OPS, defensive WAR, and total WAR standpoint. Dansby's been a little bit better. It's extremely close. It's like shaving hairs. But I just felt that Dansby was just a touch better so far than Trey Turner.
I mean, Trey's the sexier. Well, actually, depending on which woman you ask, it's probably Dansby Swanson. But the All-Star game's in LA. I'm really not surprised
I'm not
Trey Turner, who's also having
he's in a great year
as it is. But it probably gives another reason for Braves fans to hate the Dodgers, right?
Maybe
especially
just
this year.
Yeah, just a little bit this year, yeah. And so let me ask you. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I can't remember what I was saying, so you go.
I'll go ahead. I was going to ask you another Dodger-related question, because this is, so another Dodger-related question that I've seen pop up a lot is there's this traction to get Clayton Kershaw to start the game. Now, is that something you think should happen over guys that have had a better year, or is it something that you're like, I don't need to see that. It is what it is. Or would you like him to have that cool moment in Dodger Stadium?
Knowing Clayton, and I don't know Clayton personally, but knowing him as a fan of the Dodgers for my entire life, I take it as, if it happens, cool. If not, it is no big deal. He's not going to cry about it to sleep at night. I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask this question to, because my hot take is that I really don't care about the All-Star game.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
And listen, I think it's a fan event. I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the growth of the game. But do I think when you're looking at a Hall of Fame case, should you be looking at 5-time All-Star? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, that's a fan vote.
It's a fair point. It's a fan vote. It is a fan vote.
Tatis was what, 3rd or 5th in shortstop voting?
And he hasn't even played a game.
Like, come on.
That is a great point. It is a great point. What it boils down to is a popularity contest. So.
Totally. Absolutely. And that's why I was honestly shocked that Chris Taylor, well, he was in like the last push there last year for the All-Star game. But like, Chris Taylor is not a guy you really think about when you think of an All-Star, but he damn well
you think of a solid player, utility player for sure.
Absolutely. So it's just, it's one of those things where like I love the idea for a fan event. I think it's great. Like I do believe, and please chime in if you disagree. I do think that it's important to have one player from each club represented. I know you want to think about, you want to have like the best talent there, but I just don't think that that's where the All-Star game is now. It's definitely more of a fan marketing event, and you want to have, fan bases are more likely to tune in if they have one of their players present.
For sure.
So I think that's important to have. And it was a big topic of discussion for the NHL All-Star game this past year, because Nathan McKinnon had stated that he thinks there should be like 5 players on the Colorado Avalanche who should be All-Stars. And while granted, I don't disagree with him, but I also think like if somebody wanted to watch 5 players from the Colorado Avalanche, they could just watch a Colorado Avalanche game. Like the point of the All-Star game is like, hey, the league's coming together. It's the best talent from each team. I think that's important. So I know it gets, especially the hockey fans get mad at me for that take, but I think the skills competition, I think the home run derby is fun. I love that's probably my favorite part about it. But the game itself, like the guys aren't trying. Like they're just trying not to get hurt.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because this is something they've gone away with. Would you like it or be more interested if they brought back whoever won got home field advantage in the World Series? No, it wouldn't draw back.
I liked that. I did when I was a kid. I thought because the stakes were higher and
stakes were higher. Yeah.
But like, if your team finished with the better record and you still had to go on the road, like because of the All-Star game, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I always thought that was an entertaining aspect of it. But again, if you were like 115 wins and you're playing some wild card team that sneaked in at 90 and you have to go there for home field advantage, you'd be like, what the hell is this shit?
Totally. I would have been like, no, they're not doing that because of the All-Star game. Really, like some of these guys are just trying to play like not to get hurt. So
exactly.
Let me ask you a question, because this is something I was wondering beforehand, and I should have asked you before the show. Did you go to the NHL draft?
Did I go to the NHL draft this past in Montreal? No, I did not.
Oh, I thought you posted a video where it seemed like you were getting on a plane and you were talking about the NHL draft.
Oh, I said I was flying to Nashville, and the entire draft was going on while I was in the air. And so I was like, hey, if the Ducks trade anybody, because that was the Ducks goalie John Gibson has been he's always talked about in trade conversations. But I said, if they trade him while I am in the air surrounded by hundreds of strangers, that will not end well for me. Or if they do something absolutely nuts. But an airplane would be the last place I would want to be when a blockbuster trade happens.
Oh, it'd be the worst. You couldn't even know. You couldn't hardly text anyone. You wouldn't even be able to like communicate that this is going on.
I would just be screaming, and I'd be dragged off the plane, like air marshal arrest. It would not be good. Like
this is funny. I'll tell you this. So my parents before were huge Houston Oilers fans, big time.
Okay.
They got on the plane when they were playing Buffalo. I don't know if you remember this Houston Oilers versus Buffalo game. I want to say it was like the 91 AFC, not the 91, but one of the AFC championship games. They went on the plane. Houston was up by 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
They get off the plane. I believe the score was like 31-3 at halftime. They get off the plane. Their buddy's like, "Did you see what happened?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Buffalo came back and won." And my dad was like, "You're lying. That didn't happen. Like, there's just no way they would lose that game."
Oh no!
He missed the whole time flight in the air. They got off. Buffalo had come back 4 touchdowns down. They beat Warren Moon and the Oilers teams and
This
went
is
on.
Frank Reich.
Frank, yeah, he could not believe it. So I'm like, that's my nightmare scenario is going up on a plane and like somehow not know what's going on. Granted, it's a different time now. You can have internet on the plane.
Right.
But just to not be able to communicate with anyone of like, oh my God, you have to be kidding me would be devastating. So I totally get what you're saying with the whole like trade on there when that happens. Oh,
yeah.
Couldn't imagine.
You think about it, we're spoiled now where like most airplanes have TVs. My flight back from Nashville didn't have Wi-Fi. I was like, this is miserable. Like,
yeah, this is
I'm like
bone crushing.
Literally, I'm like scrolling through Spotify. I'm like going through my phone album. I'm like, okay, what photos can I delete?
Yeah.
Like, damn it, I just want live
Just want
TV.
to see what's going on.
Especially, I do like a good flight back on Sunday during football season because then you can just prop up.
Oh yeah, you can just look at it and be like, all right, that's what I'm doing for the
football.
flight.
And, you move over to the seat. If it's a long flight, you move games if you need to. It's all
exactly.
Good.
Yeah. Clark, you have any last questions?
Oh, here's one question I do want to ask because I know how much you are into, like, obviously as a content creator woman in the men's sports world. I was wondering though, down here in San Diego, because I've been really big on it, and I was wondering for so long why NBC7 and the local outlets weren't covering them more. But have you been able to go out to San Diego Wave games this year with the women's soccer team with Alex Morgan? Because I've been to one, and it is so electric. I don't know why they don't get more recognition here than they are right now.
I haven't been to one yet, but it's on my list. I keep seeing like posts about it. I have friends that have gone. I need to make a point to get out there though, because I've seen it looks like an absolute blast. And Alex Morgan, I mean, I'd go watch her play soccer.
Oh, exactly. So, I mean, I was just curious because, I mean, I think that's one league that's like blown up in terms of women's sports. I think the NWSL has gotten extremely popular. It's been awesome to see, and the growth in San Diego itself has been really cool. So I was just wondering, if you'd gone out to a game, if you had a chance to see them yet.
Nothing yet. I would say the biggest, I see a lot of Seals games, a big San Diego Seals. Those are fun.
Those are great.
Lacrosse.
Yes.
San Diego Sports Arena is an absolute dump. It needs to.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I can't believe they haven't redone it. I can't believe they haven't knocked it down.
It looks the exact same as when we were kids. Like literally, I remember going to like God knows how many like Disney on Ice, like all the shows we'd go to as kids, and it looks exactly the same. Same chairs.
The best games to watch there, though, is the goals games, the minor league. The goals games are electric factory going to those.
You're a Ducks fan.
Going to those.
I am. That's the Ducks farm team.
Yeah, come on, you can keep up over here.
No, that's what I was saying. You're a Ducks fan. That's probably why you go a lot.
Absolutely.
It's like Clark going to Lake Elsinore Storm games.
Yes. Occasionally, got to show support to the young guys out there, see what's going on.
In that single A affiliate.
Look, James Wood's coming up, man. Watch out.
Single A, I remember when like you learn about you figure out you want to work in sports, and people are like, oh yeah, you usually start out in the minor leagues and you learn like what these people do like at single and double A ball, and you're like, Jesus Christ,
this is terrible.
You got the GM pulling the tarp and shooting the t-shirt cannons. It's crazy.
Exactly.
That's working in sports. That's the glamour, baby. You think like Jerry Maguire, and you're out there like wearing the mascot costume.
Exactly. It's a complete 180 from what you actually think it's going to be.
Totally. You think, oh, the athletes get paid millions of dollars. Like the money's got to be good. No, not for you.
No.
Here's a question for you though. This is always a fun one too. Obviously, I'm sure you've been to a ton of sporting events all over the time. Plenty of them. Is there one that sticks out to you that's just like, that was terrible? Like either the experience was just absolutely, or like the venue was just awful. You're like, what is even going on?
That's a good question. Trying to think. The venue itself, terrible. I mean, any game at Qualcomm Stadium was.
Qualcomm's a toughie.
Qualcomm sucked, but
it was like sitting in a cinder block. Like
exactly, it was an ode to concrete, as I called it.
Literally,
it was so bad. I mean, sports arena's horrible though.
Sports arena's bad. I love Dodger Stadium, but I remember the one time I personally hate day baseball games because I hate sitting out in the sun.
I said this on the show last time.
I hate it. I hate day games. I want to be cool. I want to go when I want to do happy hour. I want to go pregame and then dinner at the ballpark and have it be nighttime. Like, perfect, beautiful. I don't want to be sitting out at a 1:00 start, sweating my ass off and like getting a sunburn.
Oh, you're kidding? You tell me you don't love that? That doesn't get you up in the morning, a nice 101 bacon in those plastic seats.
No.
What about on a Wednesday when they're Wednesday day games?
Yeah, no. I mean,
makes work go by quicker.
They're so bad.
I lived in Chicago too, and I feel like the exception to that is the Friday afternoon games, which I didn't like, but I didn't like being there on a Friday afternoon. But like going out and then going to a ball game, it's like it's still a sellout crowd. I'm like, don't you people work? Like, who? Meanwhile, I'm sitting there. I was like, oh yeah, I should be working too. But like, I get that aspect where it's just like tradition there, and that's pretty cool. But other than that, no, I'm not sitting. I got fair skin. I'm Irish. I'm not risking a sunburn to watch baseball when I can wait a few hours. No.
Well, there you go. There you got someone who's on your side, Ethan, with no more day baseball.
I knew it. I knew there's other people.
I want to be drinking. Plus, you want to be hydrated, and you want to drink water. I want to be pounding beers. I want to be drinking, cut water margaritas. I want, and it's just when you're sitting out in the sun, you're like, you got to
work with water in there, which is so
alcohol.
lame.
I'm like, hey. Listen, I don't need this. This is too much work.
Yeah, seriously. I want one beverage. I don't need to worry about the hydration levels when I'm doing this.
Exactly. And like passing out, like don't want to worry about that.
Yeah, seriously. I don't need an IV stuck in there because I'm low on fluids. I just want to enjoy the cut water and get things going.
The players have to wear sunglasses. They, I don't get the baseball players that still wear the Under Armour underneath, and it's like hot as Hades outside. I was like, how are you not sweating? What are you doing?
I don't know. There's like Trent Grisham, the center fielder for the Padres, religiously will wear, like, they were in Chicago, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago. They said it was like 100 degrees of humidity, and he's out there in like a turtleneck sleeves. I'm like, what is wrong? Why are we doing this?
Not.
Yeah.
My man's going to the locker room, like laying down. Like,
yeah, seriously.
And then coming back out being like, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good in my turtleneck. It's fine.
Yeah, seriously. Don't worry about it. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
It's like you're sweating a lot. No.
Yeah.
No. You sure? You look a little. No.
You're almost falling over there, Trent. No. I'm good. Don't worry.
Knocks over the sunflowers. It's like I'm fine.
Start to dry heaving.
Just take the turtleneck. No.
Yeah. No, I can't. It looks so good. They're in right now.
All right. So let's wrap up today's show. Thank you, Annie, for coming on. It's such an honor for you to be on. So before I let you plug all your stuff, we actually have a comment, same person, Drew Code, and they sent you something nice. So we talked about hate comments earlier. And so they wrote you, as someone with daughters, it's awesome to see a female talk sports and chases what you're passionate about. So I just wanted to leave you on that note. So Annie, how can we get to know you better? Where can we follow you? Where can we like you? Things like that.
You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Sweet Annie OD. Pretty active on all three of those platforms. Mainly sports, but maybe I like classic rock. I mean, I'm from San Diego, so I like an occasional like sunset, good Mexican food like style picture. So you'll get a little bit of that. Not so much on TikTok. TikTok, I pretty much stick to sports. And I'm actually relaunching my podcast tonight, OD on Sports, that you can listen to on any platform. Super excited about that. A long hiatus that unfortunately had to happen due to work, but we're back and I can't be. That's how I got my start. So I'm very excited to get back to that and get back to my original love child, I guess I should say. But shoot me a follow, comment. I love talking sports. I love meeting and interacting with fans from all over the country, all over the world. So I think that's one of the best parts about, sports media and social media in general, is just bringing people together. And obviously brought me onto your show here, and I'm so honored. And this was an absolute blast chopping it up with you guys.
Yeah, of course. So what is the episode about? What are you recording about tonight?
We're going to talk NHL free agency. Going to talk a little bit of, there was some news today with, did you guys see that Doug Gottlieb is getting sued by Freddie Freeman's agent?
Yes, I did see that.
So we'll touch on that a little bit. And I want to talk about this quarterback ranking that was released this week. I mentioned before we hit the record button that I get my cardio in by defending Lamar Jackson year round. It ages me immensely to defend that man because people just love to hate him and disrespect him even when he's not in the conversation, like at all. So we got to do that again tonight, and that's a perfect way to honestly come back and revive ourselves on a podcast is defend Lamar Jackson. But it should be, that's the one thing I like about my podcast is as much as like I love specific sports, I like talking about everything, and I didn't want to like niche down. So, and I'm sure that you guys, you talk baseball, you talk football, you talked a little hockey today too. So, hey.
Yeah, no, got to work it in there. Got to work it in there, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to listening to it. I'll make sure to watch and give it a listen on Spotify at work tomorrow. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And this is, you guys are on YouTube and everything with this, and obviously
we're pretty much on everything. So it's my summer. For those that don't know, I'm a school teacher. I've said it a couple times. So this is my summer right now. So I'm just grinding to get stuff out there. We're available on pretty much every platform. We post on YouTube. We post on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you need to find us. TikTok's by far our biggest platform. So make sure to follow us. And on a side thing, if you comment on any of our videos that athlete beat us at given and we're not athletic.
We got one of those today.
That's the name of the podcast. Yeah. It's called From the Backseat because we are backseat drivers. We know you need to tell us.
No, it's not. It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't hurt us. My 1 year of college baseball does not make me anything. So I'm like, we know it. We know that they would absolutely run us at anything.
All this did. I'm not beating Derrick Henry.
Yeah, seriously. He's coming through the A gap. I'm going the other way with him.
Literally.
Yes.
It's like, yo, man, I'll chase out.
Yeah, seriously, I'll join for the jog.
Yeah, they're like Albert Pujols would beat you guys up, and it's like, yeah, obviously,
if I did a home run derby versus Albert, he's gonna beat me? No way. The guy's got almost 700 career bombs, gonna outslug me. Oh, who would have thought? Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, 14-year-olds always keeping you humble.
Exactly.
And not understand. It's just hilarity. But yeah, so make sure to follow us wherever you can. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We don't keep up with that much, so it's not that important. Make sure to do TikTok. That's our.
It's a dying platform anyway. I said what I said.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Not taking itself.
I just don't get it. I don't get Reels. Our Reels don't do I post the same video that goes on TikTok onto Reels, and it just doesn't do
Reels.
Good, so.
Reels are just our TikToks that were popular 2 months ago. That's
pretty much.
Every time I go on, I see a reel. I was like, oh, this was a trend. 2 months ago? Cool.
Yeah.
Right. It's literally cool. Our friends will send me reels, and I'll be like, I saw this on TikTok 3 months ago.
Yeah, this is old news.
And they're like, oh, I'm not on TikTok. I was like, well, you're 3 months behind then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so this has been our show. Thank you for listening. Make sure to come back next time. And thank you.
See you next time, folks.
Thanks for having me.